Welcome to Kitchen Table Conversations. We're about to begin the process of taping episode 4. My name is Dr. Janetta Edwards, and I have two beautiful women here with me today, Jessica Macias and Beatrice Hardy. In this episode, what we want to discuss is raising a family in today's culture. My first question for you lovely ladies, first I want to talk about the theme. Let me go back. So the theme is rooted values in a shifting world. Okay? Now we think about what's going on in our world today, and we think about the rooting that we have, and making sure our children are rooted in today's world has been challenging.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And this world has taken a shift that we never knew it was going to take, but it's shifting, right? So the first question I want to ask both of you is, today we're asking, how do we raise rooted, resilient families in a culture that constantly shifts? How do you raise rooted, resilient families in a culture that constantly shifts?
Well, first?
Sure,
Go.
sure. So for me, I have, my kids are from an infant all the way up to 13. I got 4 of them now. And one of the biggest things right now for us is just making sure that we are Christ-centered. So we're attending church every week. My older 2 are a part of, this group the church hosts on Friday nights, where they get to, hear from the Lord's word and then mingle with their peers. And so I think, disconnecting from the world around us and what's going on, and just being able to kind of get down to, a level with your peers, I think is important. So for me, that's, one of the biggest things right now, because that's really what helps us, I think, in shutting off the TV for dinner time, and making sure that we are focused on one another, and just being present.
So when you say going to church and learning God's word, so how do you take what they learned and make it practical for them? Something tangible that they can, because they can hear the word, and people can, give a good teaching of the word. But how do we as parents reinforce that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely challenging, and I think, just going back to basics, whether we're talking about commandments and honoring your parents, and that's, not only having us listen to what you have to say, but also listening to what your parents have to say. Your kids may not always take your advice, but hopefully, you hope they're hearing it at some point. But then leading by example. So if we are out in public, and if you see someone who may be struggling on the side of the road, if you can offer help, whatever that may be.
Yep.
And just extending compassion and kindness. I think those are, those foundational values that I wish to instill in my kids.
And even though we have a shaking going on, if they're rooted, they won't be unrooted.
Yes.
And then you also want to add to that, because all of what you said is how I reared mine. They are adults now. I won't tell their age. And then I have grandchildren. I have grandchildren from 8 to 24. And so they were, oh, you surprised?
What
you trying to say?
Nothing.
I'm
Go and get your.
Okay.
Go. Okay.
All right. So anyway,
that's a sad note.
Yeah. Anyway, see, people, this is what I go through when I have to speak with her. No, just giving them that foundation. You also want to communicate when things are like now, with the unrest that we have, with the politics, with the school things that's changing in the schools. Now we having ICE, National Guard is coming. They're beginning to see tanks now, and all of those different things. Something very new. And even with adult children, I find myself talking more frequent with my daughters on getting them the clear understanding of why is this, And so, being raised from the South in the 60s, I have a better foundation and outlook on why some things just happening, because it's about power. It's about power, it's about fear. False evidence appearing real. And that's what they feel. So I have to let them know and remind them who they are, how you were grounded, like you said, have that serenity, because everyone goes in different places in that portion of who they worship. So you find that base. You want to be with people with like minds that have that, and then like you said, giving back. That has been one of my major tools that I used when I'm going through.
Giving back.
I give back to others. I will help you with what you're going through because it's helping me, and so it's set aside where it's being fixed on a higher power while I'm working with you. So,
planting seeds of love, joy, peace, caring, honesty in your children, not just talking about it, but living the life that you talk about.
Exactly.
Because this generation, like, you told me not to smoke, mama, but you got a cigarette in your hand. Now, my generation, you can say that. But this generation, like, I can't drink, but mama, and I see you with a drink all the time. So I'm not saying that's me, but I'm saying that's what the children, I apologize, the young people are doing. They are calling you out. You can't, say do as I say and not as I do.
And I do understand that, but there's a way to do things.
It is a way. I agree.
However, I agree with their leveraging their voices because it is something we need. We just have to, as a family,
have that conversation,
and give them the space to have that conversation, which I've done. And so now, even with my grandchildren, I hear from my daughters how voiceful their children are, and I was like, it's okay. So if it's something they say, and I'll be like, don't talk to me like that. No, you have to change that. You have to change that, and it has a lot to do with how you was raised, and then the rules and regulations of back then in your household.
And so kitchen table conversations came about because when my children were young and they would come home from school, and the first thing I would say, how was school? It was okay. And in the beginning, I accepted that. I'm like, okay, what does okay mean? Does okay mean that science project was good? Does okay mean that we studied for your math test? It was. What does quantify that? And I had somebody say, why do you talk to your children using words like they don't understand that?
Yes, they do.
Today, they might not. But if I keep using that same word in different contexts, they will.
They don't care.
So having a place where my kids will come to the table, I will be cooking, and they would come sit at the table, and they know when they sat at the table, it was a safe space.
Yes. Absolutely.
They could talk about every and it. Did I want to hear all that? Some of that stuff was like, oh my God. But they had the ability to learn their voices.
Exactly.
Not in a disrespectful manner or anything, but to talk about what was really going on. And I said one day I'm gonna have a segment called Kitchen Table Conversations.
Oh, wow.
So here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
But I want to shift a little bit in this culture that we're in. I'm finding that I talk to some of our millennials. They're angry. They angry. Like, I'm like, why y'all so angry
What's the question?
about everything? And so is it just me? Not all of them, but in many cases they mad. The world sucks. The da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I get that. So how do you... But when I go out there, people treat me like this. I'm being done like this or whatever. So how do you work with them in their places of anger? You shared about your 13 or 14.
Yeah, 13-year-old.
13-year-old, he's angry
Yeah.
because of a decision that you and your husband made that you believe was best for the family.
Yes.
But
yes.
he's angry.
Yes, he's angry. You know, we've ruined his
13.
life. Yeah,
Yeah.
13. You know, the world is over.
Right.
And I get it. You know, when I was younger, he's angry because we moved. We expanded our family. We just overgrew our home, and we made the decision to move to the next town over.
Okay.
So friends are still nearby. But I get it. You know, my son, he's the oldest. He's my only boy, 8th grade. And that's a hard time for any young individual,
that
let
transition.
alone a boy moving to a new school, a new home, having to, you know, make new friends. And when I was younger, my parents moved around a lot. Probably every 2 years I was going to a different school. And I never wanted that for my kids. But, you know, what you think of when you're younger and then when you actually have kids, it's very different. And so we had to make a very we had to make a very difficult decision that this was what was best. So we made the move, and there have been some trials, and yeah, he doesn't quite understand it right now, and you know, we've been trying to mentally prepare him. You know, this could be a good thing. You can kind of, you know, rebrand yourself, make new friends, and you know, before you know it, you're going to be in high school. That's a different school altogether.
Right.
You're all going to a different school building, and then shortly after that, because we all know time flies, you're going to be getting ready to go to college. And if you want to go somewhere, this is exactly what it's going to be like. You're going to be in a place that is just completely unknown to you. You need to navigate it on your own. You know, as a mother, I'd like to be able to help him, but as 13-year-old, I have to let him do things on his own, and this is one of those things that he's going to have to navigate.
Have he met a friend yet?
Not quite. He has one friend. Can't tell me much about him. You know, I think it's, you know, an interaction. We hang out.
You, or are they just hanging out?
They're partners at times in a class or two, and you know, so he knows his name, and that's really all I get. But I think, you know, it's been under protest more than anything. I think if, you know, maybe in his mentality, he's kind of thought, well, if I don't make friends, maybe mom and dad will move us back. Like it's an easy fix, you know?
Oh, okay.
So
That
I
unrealistic
think so.
reality of a 13-year-old.
Yeah, which I gotta give him credit for.
Right,
It's,
right,
you know,
right.
it's creative thinking.
It is creative,
Yeah.
you know.
It's not
Maybe
gonna
you
work.
should give him the price of what it takes to move back, and say that if you can get through. No, you know what? I just thought.
Oh, yeah.
Watch what you ask to.
Yeah.
And these days, because you do have directions where they can get distracted, like, well, if I sell this,
Oh, yeah.
I could get that. So no, but then think reasonable. But take part of what I said, and just think about another strategy of just letting him see. Because sometimes kids need to feel why we make decisions the way we are. You know, and because of today, it calls for that extra of a parent. And first of all, I just want to say, I love hearing what you're saying, the attention that you give to your parents, because again, work that I do, I work with some that may not have great parenting skills, and they're learning and not knowing what to do in this time. And so with this time of what we're going through, it takes to give them that space, but give them some understanding on how it feels. No different if you're going to open up a bank account for them or whatever, and they want to buy a purchase something. Okay, well then you give them the entire, from the financial background of it, and this is how you're going to spend this, how much it costs. Okay, well, however they make the money, whether it's allowances or whatever, that stuff like that, and kind of twist his thoughts around, give him something different to think about, but the same thing.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And hearing what you're saying, you bringing up memories too. And you know, I think it's important. You know, I have to tell him. You know, yes, I made a decision to move our family, but it's not something that I did lightly. You know, that weighs heavy. I didn't want to move. I miss our old town. I miss our old house. You know, so I think keeping that personal connection too.
Yes.
You know, because that, I think, really sits with someone. You know, and if kids don't see behind closed doors,
No.
the logistics and why you're
No.
deciding what you need to
No.
decide.
I
And
don't know that.
so to be able to stay connected and like, oh, okay, you really do care. There is
You
there
are
is a
the
piece
worst
there.
mom in the world.
Oh yeah,
I've had-
yeah.
You're the
I've gotten
worst dad in the world.
I
You
can't
don't care
understand
about
you.
me.
Mhm.
You don't love me.
Oh,
You
yeah.
didn't let me go play with them kids down the street who parents let them run up and down the street and do whatever they wanted to do when they wanted to do.
Full speech.
You don't like my friends. I'm like, and so to hear that from you and to be viewing it from a different lens,
Yeah.
it reminds me because as a kid, I didn't understand the choices my parents made.
Right.
In a culture that was probably shifting even more in the 60s. And here we are, a generation is 40 years. So here we are a generation and a half later,
Yes.
right? And what they dealt with and what we dealing with now, it's almost like history is repeating itself.
And they
In
say
some
that again.
cases.
It is. Yeah.
Right? So how do we protect our families? Again, like you said, you got to have something that you grounded in. Whatever your belief system is, whatever you believe in, whatever grounds you,
Yeah.
keep you rooted, right? How you go down the street and there's a bad storm and you have 4 trees that are uprooted and you got one that's not. And all the 4 around it are uprooted, but there's that one in the middle that's still there. It's a little broken.
Yes.
It's a little beat up, but it's still there. So how do we train our children or have conversations with them from the different aspects? Having adult children, having a granddaughter that's in her 20s, and you having a 14-year-old. Very different, generations. How do you support them in this culture, especially with social media, identity, peer influence, and fast content? They get stuff instantaneously.
We have that conversation about instant gratification probably weekly in
Okay.
my house.
Okay.
And it's something that we struggle with quite a bit. But for me, now I'll be honest, since this move, I was holding strong. I really was. But my teen and then my next one who just turned 11 in the summer, I just broke down and they both got cell phones. And this is now, let me tell you, I didn't get a cell phone until I had my own job and I could pay for it. Before that, I had a pager.
Right.
So for me, this was big. And really, it was just because, at our last, neighborhood that we lived in, I knew all of my kids' friends' parents and they were comfortable. And if they needed to call me, they could use, someone's mom's phone But for me, this was really kind of a way to track them. And I'm very diligent, at least I try to be, that they are not allowed to have social media. I think it's a poison for their young minds. Nothing good's gonna come of it. And there's a lot of things that I try to implement as a parent, but social media is one of them. And I'll be honest, I had my daughter, who, as I mentioned, is 11, is very impressionable right now. And she had for her birthday party a couple of her little friends over, and of course, they're taking selfies and they're sharing phone numbers and all that, and it's really exciting, and I'm happy for her. And then I get these parent notifications. She wants this app. She wants this app, and most of them are those silly little games, and I'm like, you're killing all your memory, but whatever. That's not your, it's your phone, not mine. And one of them, I'm just thinking that it's all these things. Well, it's a child's social media. And I'm like, okay, when I gave these phones, I said, now they might be yours, but ultimately they are mine. I will check them whenever I want to check them.
Yes.
I will look at your phone logs. I will look at your text messages. I can see your screen time and what you're looking at, and I know how to find the deleted ones.
There you go.
So you can't trick me. And just like my mom told me, I'm telling them.
Yeah.
I know everything. I see everything.
I know that this game is
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Does not mean I don't see you.
Yes. And so I saw these videos that she was doing with her little friends at first, and I was like, okay. But then I realized this is not just a playful little thing. I said, this really is a social media.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it's geared for just children. I said, but you don't know, just like I'm looking at
Log
your phone right
in.
now, who's looking at your friend's phone?
Yep.
Thank
I
you.
Yep.
said, and you know, I'm seeing you're posting about 5 videos a day. I said, every couple of hours you're posting. I was like, what else are you doing in your day?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this, you're addicted to it already, and it's only been like a day.
Right.
So of course I'm a mean mom now because I deleted it.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I'm sorry, and I'm like, this. Let me point out why. I said, you don't see this, but I can see this. I said, I'm looking at these videos, and I said, now I know what your bedroom looks like. Now I can see based on this that you are on this side of the house because now I know what time it is that you posted it and where the sun is
Wow,
at.
that's good.
I said,
Okay,
you got windows. I said, I'm trying to like because you know I need her to understand the safety behind it.
Yes. Yes.
And yes, it's for
That's
kids and
great.
it's your little friends on there, but you don't know who's
Yes.
at your friend's house
And who
You
they
don't
sharing
know
what
who's
video
looking.
with.
Right, absolutely. So for me, yes, you can be mad at me, you can hate me, but I'm doing this for your safety
Right.
because
I love you.
yes, and don't get me wrong, I did some dumb things when I was a kid, but we didn't have
We
internet.
had proof. We
were
had proof.
we were yeah. There's no
Wasn't no
proof.
proof.
We were at the beginning.
Wasn't no proof.
Yes.
There was no proof. We ain't had no
Yes.
phones.
No.
So Jessica, that's a very good point. And so recently, my grandson, the 12-year-old, called me to tell me, I'm like, what numbers you calling me from? Oh, no, this is my new phone. So him and Leah got new phones. And I guess, that's the age
Yes.
where, because mine didn't get phones till they went to high school. So that's the age. I'm like, in certain cases, you need to be able to put your hands on them, right?
Yes.
And in the culture that we live in, we have to do things a little different,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, so I'm like, okay, my son is doing that, and I'm sure the other 12-year-old probably will be getting a phone soon too. So, watching them, but making sure that they're safe, because understanding that if you forward a tape of something that's inappropriate that somebody sent you, you can be in trouble for that.
Absolutely.
Right? I used to tell my kids, what time is it? I'm standing there with my hand out. Everybody having their phone.
Yeah.
Because no, you don't go to bed with your phone. That's my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Why you going through my phone? Your phone, my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I pay the bill. You don't have no phone. I let you use it.
Yes.
Oh my God, you're going through my phone. And what's this one about?
Yes.
So, yes, my kids came up around there when they got them phones, and it was like,
Yes, man.
oh my goodness. And now you have the grandchildren with these, and my grandson had the Oculus a couple of years ago. He got the Oculus, right?
Okay.
When it first came out. And I was in the living room, and he was up here, and I was just watching him, and he was doing his thing, and I heard a voice. I said, who is that? Oh, that's somebody who playing the game. I said, how did they get on your game? Well, and it sounded like a grown man. I said, no, you need to turn that off. I don't care what your parents said.
Turn it off.
Turn it off. I told his dad, you need to do something about that, because some grown man or somebody who sounded like a grown man was in there talking to your son through the I said, and I'm not finna be that's not finna happen on my watch.
Yes.
Now, your parents, that's you, but on my watch, no.
That's a big no-no.
Right, it's a
No.
big no.
My daughters, they monitor their children's phones as well. I was listening to some of the things you're saying, and they're like that.
Yes.
They're on it. They monitor them. They know where they are.
That's
They
right.
track them, and if you shut it off if you want.
Mm-hmm. And like they have, okay, so in moving forward, after we're learning about the shifting of the cultures and the things that we need to do, I want both of you to kind of like define what your family culture is. Family culture. For example, in my house, we believe.
In my house, we believe in God. They have their interpretation, but it's a positive, as they grow and develop in that area. In my house, we have respect. Respect for one another, whether we agree or disagree.
Okay.
Okay. And in my house, you respect my house. Period. And rules fall from there. Snowy, you do not argue in my home.
Mm-mm.
That's a big no-no.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jessica?
So I have to agree with you and everything you just said. So that's definitely in my home as well. But I have to add, my kids are still young, so my house is very chaotic and and it's constant fighting and it's
I can understand.
a lot of mediation.
Uh-huh.
But for me, I think one of the bigger pieces too is really just the integrity of what we say and what we do, and I am trying to raise good, kind-hearted humans, and so I am not perfect by any means, and I have days where I go to bed and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or maybe if I did it different this way. So for me, it's very important to acknowledge, whether it's the same day or even the next day, if I made a mistake, that I have to go and apologize.
Exactly.
And it's not an easy pill to swallow,
No.
especially as a parent.
No.
But I am, hopeful in that if they see me doing that and they see my husband doing that, if he makes a mistake, that they will also in turn, respect
Learn
each
how to
other
apologize.
and learn how to apologize, because yes, you're siblings, but you are hurting each other's feelings, and it might seem trivial now, and maybe it is because you're younger, but when you're older, that's when it's going to count, and you need each other.
You do.
Yeah.
So, tell me, do you find it to be challenging to teach critical thinking along with faith and love?
For me, no.
Okay. Well, why not?
Well, I grew up in the church. That was something you had to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the choir.
Had to.
Say you won't. And see what happens. So we had to, and I learned those principles, the basic principles and morals and values on how you love one another, and and then as I grew older, I realized you have to. It is a maturity of understanding.
Yes.
What that means. So that's where that critical thinking. To me, you need them both. You need them both, because it says love everyone, treat people like you want to be treated. But will you get that in return? And if you don't get it in return, how do you react toward that? How does it function you? So you have to come up with some type of thinking on how you're going to navigate that.
Instead of always being reactive.
Yes.
Right? I think a lot of people think for them it's better to be more reactive. I'll deal with it when it's in front of me than by thinking, how should I be conducting myself no matter where I'm at.
Thank you. Yeah. If no one's watching.
When no one's watching. Who am I in the core of me? Because the core of me will manifest no matter where I'm at. You can't be phony for long.
It's going to catch up with you.
Yep.
It does. Right?
And you're in a great space where your children are in a time like this, because it's not like my children, they had to go through the transition. All of a sudden it was there. Now you bringing them through the unrest.
Yes.
And my children did not, adult children, when it started back with the pandemic. Matter of fact, I can take it further than that. It started back when my son was in college. You remember the shooting at the school?
Yes.
And he was sitting outdoors, and he saw the guy enter the building with the guitar.
That's at Northern University.
University. He saw him enter the building, and then all of a sudden he just saw people running toward him, and someone was bleeding. So that kind of shook him. That shook him.
Rightfully so.
And then and then here we had the pandemic. My children don't know anything about shutting down. You can't go anywhere. You can't do. And now you have children. You have to stay in the house. You talk about they in their youth. So
they in the house.
Can't
It's
go to
running
the
amok.
they
Right.
can sit with their children 24/7. They're gonna call me because about where it's impossible that they can come.
No, they can't come over my house.
I love that. I say it's the pandemic.
You need to stay at home.
You're gonna stay at home. They want to separate it. Okay, Whereas to me, I was like, hey, this is straight. I love this for the moment. So it put them in a place where they had to be creative, because now I have to teach my children.
I gotta spend time with them.
Spend more time, teach them. I mean, I'm not teaching. I mean, I become the teacher.
You do. You do.
Speaking of, but what they got from that was they began to learn more about one another, and so that will be my conversation when we get on when we get on FaceTime to my adult children. I give them
they're freaking out because the kids won't sit down.
While they're talking to me, I'm sitting up in my high chair and with my wine. It's like, I know what you mean.
That must.
You had a struggle there. Yeah. Let me tell you about the
that
pandemic.
must have been rough.
You all didn't live during the pandemic.
No.
Right.
I didn't have that experience.
You didn't have that.
It gave you that chance, and now you have, like I said, you have the.
You find out the core of you when you go through stuff, right? I think about the generation of crack babies.
Okay. Yes, I recall.
When my daughter, who's 43, she was like, it may have been 2 or 3 of us who had parents that weren't on crack. That was born in the 80s.
Yeah.
She said the majority of my friends' parents or relative or aunt or uncle was struggling with crack.
Yeah.
Then those crack babies hit the school system.
Then they had.
They weren't ready.
Then they had children.
Which
that is in their system.
So now the next crisis was the pandemic. So we had kids who never got a chance to graduate, didn't do this, didn't do that. They went from being 4 to 5 being at home all year long, then you sending them to school. Then the schools still have to, deal with that. You had a lot of abuse going on during that time. So here we go with another disheveling to our culture to bring us to a place that we never thought we would be in. Right? And so now when people cough, you be
looking at them sideways.
Right.
But to your point too, I might also look at someone if I see him still wearing a mask like this COVID is over. So it's like you both ways, like
right. Or people in a car driving with masks on. So and what I've learned is that some people have immune deficiencies.
Yes.
So you don't know. And then some people with 5 and 6 masks on, it's be like suspect. So then there's my biases. And we all have biases.
Yes,
then you start having those biases like, come on, COVID, why you still got a mask on? Take that daggone mask off your face. But so in shifting a little bit, do you feel in this time, in this day, that we can raise children or support our families alone?
No. I think for me growing up to raising my own kids now, I had always heard, back in the day, it takes a village. And I think it's more important now than ever. I think that concept has been lost. And I think, especially those, myself included, millennials and the generations after, you need to find that village. And I think it's really difficult this day and age because you have both parents more times than not, both working. It's so expensive to just run a home, let alone on one income. And so you start to be separated from that community and being able to find the time to rebuild your community. I think that's what really we kind of need to get back to is having that village again. And I think in building on that is what's going to help this next generation thrive.
Yes, I'll agree. Going back to the basics, because there are morals and values that was lost. It was switched over to materialistic things. It's just like today, you wear what you want, but I come from that era that you have to earn that. And so, no, you did not go to high school with $200-300 gym shoes on. You wore Converse that was $25 the high top.
And you had one pair all year to last you.
Pair to last you because we got to get you to the next step.
Yes.
And it's not about your bling bling and your outfits. And I know I outdated myself.
Lululemon and whatnot.
All of the new stuff that's going on and stuff because My children will definitely tell you when the Jordans came out,
They ain't get them.
they was $45 back then. $45. And I had one. You know that one, the oldest. Well, my friends, they have the Jordans, and why we can't have them? I said, Jordan,
Or something to eat.
Michael Jordan is gonna get your butt in trouble. I'm gonna put it that way. Michael Jordan don't do anything here. Now, if he want to donate a pair of gym shoes, you can wear them. But when I get 45 times 3, that's a light bill. That's a gas bill. Back then we had the phones. So before they had the cell phones, we had the landlines.
Yeah, the landlines. Yeah.
Okay, those phone companies, they wanted their money. Are they clicking?
You're paying for all kinds of stuff back then that we didn't have now.
So now they're so they make sure their kids have that. Now they catch them on sale. Oh my God! Now I see why you say yes. You gotta take your home first. Can we eat gym shoes? Can we put our favorite sauce and make some chicken nuggets out these gym shoes?
Yeah.
No, we cannot do that. So you're not putting that stress on me. And if you get laughed at school, oh well.
You clean.
It's a way you can turn that around.
You clean. You got a place to stay. You got food
needs.
to eat and everything.
Needs.
So
what was that, manslaughter?
Yeah.
right.
You have your needs.
You have your
your
needs
basic
met.
needs are met.
So I wanted my children to have some things, and so it's a difference between being a single mom.
Well, I was.
My mom was a single mom, or me being married, or you being married. The struggle is still real, be it a single mom or be married with 2 parents in the household.
Right.
It still can be a struggle. I would have people say, well, you're married, so I don't know what the problem is. What?
Well, it is. Could be.
Has
You're
nothing
not
to
in
do
the
with it.
household.
We
First of
still
all,
get
you're not in
double.
the person's household, so you don't know what is going on.
We got
Mind your business.
double expenses, right? So you do need a village. I remember my real good friend Rosa. When Christian was born, she kind of like took him under her arm and held on to him, right? Her and his godmother kind of took him over, and Jaquez had somebody that took him over, and Tanisha had somebody to take them over, and to hey, so on, blah, 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 blah. And we were in a church environment, and I'm not saying all church environments are perfect, but we were in a church environment, and so everybody in the church watched out for everybody's kids.
Yes.
Not talking about the family. So you had a family at church, you had a family, your family, and if you got in trouble, we gonna call everybody on the phone and tell everybody what you did.
Exactly.
And so then your family gonna call and tell you, your mama told me what you did.
Yes.
And saying you need a village.
And see, I grew up with the community also. You had the lady across the street
That didn't ever work and was always in your business when I snuck outside.
Myra, I saw them. It was some kid came over
there.
because you was not allowed to have
No
anyone
company in the house.
No
No,
company
you
in the
couldn't.
house.
You couldn't answer the door.
No.
Nothing.
And by God, and we had the nosy neighbor, Miss Banks.
But
Miss Banks was the neighborhood watch.
Yes. But Miss Banks probably saved us from a lot of.
Yeah, it did because we could have. Yeah, well, okay.
But
that's
if you,
all.
but
that's another.
Right.
You stayed on your P's and Q's because you knew someone was
Somebody
watching.
was
She
watching.
Was the eye in the
Thank
sky.
And they had your mama's number wherever your mama was.
And
I saw Janetta. She was outside, and I know you at work, girl, and I know you don't allow that.
They walk in the door and telling you what they. Oh,
Yeah, Miss Johnson called me.
Why
She,
not?
Mama, I was not outside. Oh, you lying? Miss Johnson lying? Is she lying on you? So,
You know you can't say.
you know
yes.
she ain't lying on you. So it was different, and you needed that. And
Yeah.
you're right. Even though here we are, culture is every 40. I mean, a generation is every 40 years. So I'm thinking 40 in a generation and a half later. Although some of those values, we was like, yeah, them's old fogey. But right now in the culture that we living in today, we need some of that.
We do.
We need to be our neighbor's keeper. I need to be my brother's keeper, my sister's keeper. I need to see your kid and say, now, there's a way to do it. Don't be that old mean lady in the neighborhood,
Yes.
the crotchety old person. Be mean and nasty to the kids, talking to them crazy. Baby, come here. Let me, what did you, You know you ain't what you doing and you're supposed to
Janetta,
be doing.
that is, and I agree with you
Mm-hmm.
100%. Then it takes it into, which probably would be another show,
Mm-hmm.
is where the mindset of people today,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
their pain, their losses,
Mm-hmm.
their challenges. You know, you talking to me, raising 3 kids in a city of Chicago, and I was born
Mm-hmm.
in West Palm Beach, Florida, alone, and so it put me in a different mindset of a protective mindset, really.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm just really not open to anyone coming in my space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I had to raise my children that way, and so now they're raising their kids that way because it's only us. You know, it's only us. But there's a lot going on. A lot of people are going. You have the mental health that's going on, and you know, you have people that are just challenged of whatever they've been going through.
And never got what they needed.
Thank
So
you.
mental health was
So
one of
they're
the
angry.
things I wanted to talk about, but our time is winding up. So that can also be another conversation for us to talk about.
Love to join that.
Yes.
Jessica and I and even Beatrice, we're in the mental health capacity and provide services to people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about one thing you can say when raising families that can stand, grow, and thrive, even here, even now, what would you say to those families?
Can you repeat that one more time for me?
If you could give a word or a statement to a family that's living in the culture of today, to tell them, you know, that they can stand, they can grow, thrive, even here, even now, what would you say?
Pray.
Okay.
Pray.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Solid and to the point.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it is challenging, but I know it will be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I would say to a family that's watching this, or to a mom or a dad that's watching this, make sure you pull your children in close to you if you have children.
Mm-hmm.
Children, give your parents grace. Adults, parents, give your kids grace. We live in a very tumultuous time, and we going through a lot, and we need each other. We can't do it alone. You know, we can't. I need my immediate family, my children, my sisters, my brother, my grandchildren. I need them. Okay? God is always first in my life, but I need my family. They complete me. They make me feel whole. So what I would say to you, whatever your family looks like, it don't have to look like mine, don't have to look like Jessica's, Beatrice. Make your own family. If it's just you, be you. If it's you and your children, or you and your spouse, or your mate, or your partner, be that and have that and build off of that. Don't look at what's happening next door, because you don't know what it takes to be them next door. Find out what works for you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ladies, for joining me
Thank
today.
you for
I
inviting
appreciate
me.
that.
I love this. We got to do this again.
Yes, we do. Thank you for watching our channel. I appreciate you watching the Mother's Love Community Organization channel, sitting at the kitchen table, having a conversation with us today. Please subscribe, please like, and please write a comment. Leave your email address if you want to get the journal that's associated with this conversation that we did today. Our website is motherslovecommunityorganization.com. And thank you for joining us. Peace. To find the best, to learn techniques and things outside of my family and my ecosystem of my family. We didn't know stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so when you learn it, you gotta be able to use it.
Yeah.